followed her into the blacksmith's workshop, a large open space with a burning forge at the center and an anvil waiting nearby. 2 other machines were close at hand, along with a rectangular trench filled with water. My eyes darted quickly to the rear exit, a plain metal door secured by a single sliding bolt, and a pair of windows easily broken should an unexpected escape become necessary. I like to know where my prey might run, if it should come to a hunt. The smell of hot metal hung in the air, lightly stinging my lungs with each breath. "You're the Pax Beta," Jeffrey stammered, taking a protective stance next to his forge. "What can I do for you? I'm pretty busy, but if you need a sword, I'd be happy to work you into the schedule. A friend of Winter's is a friend of—" "She speaks highly of your work," I said, absorbing the intense heat that radiated from the forge as I observed the various pieces of wrought iron hanging on the walls. A 3-tiered workbench stood next to the forge, the surfaces covered in tools of various shapes and sizes, many of which would serve as impromptu but deadly weapons. As my hand passed over the workbench, I noticed a tremor in Jeffrey's jawline that hardened as I moved my hand over a piece of burlap. "I'm sure your backlog is extensive," I said, turning from the workbench, to the blacksmith's palpable relief. "Not a problem." Jeffrey's eyes flicked toward Winter, searching for an explanation. "Happy to do a favor for you people." He laughed nervously, an obnoxious sound that grated on my nerves. "I mean the pack. You guys and your peeps. We're friends, right?" He asked Winter and then turned to me. "Right?" Pathetic. "Just call me tomorrow and we'll set something up. At the moment, I've got a lot of work to do, so I should probably get to it." He gestured awkwardly toward the entrance, positioning his body between me and the workbench, but I ignored the unsubtle suggestion. "I require something special." The blacksmith gratefully shifted into work mode, nodding aggressively as he crossed his arms over his chest and stroked his beard. "Okay, like enchantments? I have some witches I work with, very professional, all highly experienced, but expensive. I can give you a deal for the work, but any enchantments will be at the full rate." I stopped to examine one of several racks that held the fruit of his recent labor. A pair of longswords waiting for hilts hung next to a thin, elegant spear with a hardwood shaft and ivory grip. I lifted the spear gently, testing the balance in my hand. Perfect. The blade was sharpened to a razor's edge, with a fine, deadly point. "The Zulu Ikwa," I said, admiring the craftsmanship. Jeffrey's eyes brightened at the recognition, surprised. "The weapon that brought the colonial British Army to its knees in Africa," he said, taking a deep breath as he gestured to the spear, happy for the distraction. "A simple design, but effective in close quarters and ranged combat." "Exquisite." "The ivory is a nice touch," Winter said as if she had somewhere else to be. She strolled deeper into the rectangular workshop to run her hand over one of the other machines. Jeffrey winced at the intrusion. He half gestured, starting forward to protect his precious equipment, but stopped short, preferring instead to maintain his anxious guard of the workbench. I answered his nervousness with a fraudulent smile. The more nervous the blacksmith became, the more he revealed. "You must have wealthy customers," I said. He shifted, shaking his head apologetically. "I never discuss my clients." A metal clang startled him. He turned back to Winter, who stood over a pronged iron tool that she had dropped to the floor. "Oops," she said with an innocent pout while making no move to retrieve the tool. Jeffrey scowled. Unable to restrain himself, he strode to pick it up and returned it to its place on the wall. Deciding against scolding Winter, he turned to find me once more hovering over the workbench. His heart rate accelerated drastically as I gently lifted the piece of burlap to reveal a silver ingot next to an orange medicine bottle with an eyedropper lid. Next to the ingot was a sand-cast mold of an arrowhead. I turned to Jeffrey for an explanation. "Oh boy," he said, trying to catch his breath. "I can explain. How did you know?" "I can appreciate that you maintain client privilege, Jeffrey, but you do like to talk about your work."